Hello folks, Dead Set here. This will be an extemporaneous example of lighting and surfacing. Um, a day or two ago, Julian put an example of people doing vectored lighting samples using cell shades in Blender. And the question was asked, how do we do this in Lightwave? And this is an example of how I do it, in particular in Lightwave. Now, for this video, I'm going to be using an older version, Lightwave 2015. And the reason why is because 2020 seems to be a bit sluggish when running the VPR. There are some bugs that haven't been worked out yet, and hopefully new tech will work those things out in the future. So let's get started. Basically what we have here is playing my character Dead Set and a shadow. What we don't know, or what you don't see, is that there are three lights here. Actually four. I've got two lights for the vectored cell patterns, and I've got one light for highlight color, and I've got another light for shadow. So let me go ahead and give you a view of what the node editor looks like for this setup. And so this is one of the armored surfaces. Yeah, it looks like a big mess, but basically what you have here are two vectored lights, Dead Set 1 and 2, along a vectored incidence angle going into a mixer which feeds into the color. And right down here at the very bottom here, you see the highlight, which you can't see because it's maxed out at 1, and it's within an envelope, which of course runs into my outer edge, my soft edge I like to call it, and then my highlights, which I'm only using 1. Then we have my bump texture, which is not even running into that. Let me move that over here, which runs through my gradients with my cross hatching, which runs into my material editor, which runs into my material switcher, which this is my switch, which is controlled by a null that's on screen. And then I have what I call my shadow side. And this is basically how I do my shadow pass on my renders. Generally, I don't have a plane down here because the character scene will be completely alphaed out, and I'll just drop it in scene as a composite. But for this example, I need a ground plane for a shadow. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to show you the setup. So right here we have a shadow light. We have Dead Set light 1 and 2. These are my vectored lights. We have my muscle DPL, that's my muscle displacement. We have my shadow catcher. This basically is what switches my materials from my color side to my shadow side, but it also switches the background from black to white, because when I put my shadows in for compositing, I need for the background to be white also, and that way all I need to do is drop a black all I would need to do is drop a black background in the alpha window and modulate the shadow. And then I have my what's called my DS highlight, or Dead Set highlight, and this is basically where my Like if there's a bright light on one side or the other, this is how I would modulate that. So let me just go ahead and show you how this works. So let's do this. We'll start with the muscle displacement. And this is also in keeping with me having all of my controls on screen. My controls on my rigs, there's usually a lot more to it than this, but I simplified the whole thing just to keep it basic. Okay, this is dead set. We're going to look at him like this. And this is without a bunch of displacement. This is just how I modeled him without displacement. And so when he's under stress or when he's bulking up, I go ahead and move that to 180, move the screen to update it, and now he looks a lot more muscular. And that is controlled right here. So if I update it, he gets smaller. Go up there, it gets bigger. And because it's a null that I'm using to control this, it translates to the motion mixer well without any hiccups. And so we can just do it that way. Okay. Now we're going to look at the vector lights. So I'm going to take these two lights, grab them both, go back to VPR mode. Oops. That's my shadow side. I had already set a keyframe for it. So let me go ahead and turn that off. Let's see, color shadow catcher. Okay. And as you can see, the background turned black, white also. And this is one of those updating things. So I have to come out of VPR mode and back into VPR mode to get the black background. Okay. Okay, now we're going to grab our two lights again. Let's use the overlay. Okay. Let's turn the overlay off. Now, as you can see, when I move these lights around, you see that the cells are edited, but the shadow doesn't move. And that's because I wanted to maintain flexibility between control of the cell and the angle of the light and shadow. So basically what this does is it frees me to create some interesting angles for when I want to render. Now if we go to the shadow catcher light, which is here, you won't see the cells move, but you will see the shadow move. And in order to see the shadow overlay render, you will have to go back to my shadow catcher, and again bring that up again. There we go. Let's do that update thing again. And so now when I move the shadow catcher light, you can see it's moving with the shadow. And this would be my second pass render for rendering alpha shadows onto the object, as well as compositing. Okay. Okay. And the next thing I want to show you is, let's go back here and let's do the update again. I'm going to show you my highlighter. Now the highlighter works like this. Let's go back into the node editor. And the highlighter has there are actually two there are actually two positions right here because I wanted to have the freedom to make the highlight either soft edge or very hard edge or even flip it over on its side. And so therefore, what I did was I applied an expression, and in fact, I don't even think the expression is on. Just a second. Yes, there should be something in position here. Highlight gradient. Okay. So let's do this. Previous key. Next key. Next key. There's the one. And okay, it's already on. So let's just go ahead and show you how this works. Now the pitch should be the gradient. I forgot how I set this up. Bear with me for a moment. Let's take a look at the expression. Okay, here we go. Okay, we have the gradient and then we have the position. So the bank is the gradient and the pitch is the position. Okay. So basically what I want to do is I want to select this null here. This is my black and white null. This takes me from color back into black and white. This is my highlighter. And so let's take the pitch and there you go. In fact, let's put it at a different keyframe. And oh boy. This is why I hate working in VPR, because you can't see anything. Take the shadow, turn it off, and delete the key. Go back to this, go back into VPR, update it. There we go. Now we're going to take the pitch, and as you can see, now that's the gradient that's moving. I don't know why it's doing it so much like that, but whatever. This is the hard edge. Now the way this works, I need to take a look at that expression. There we go. Okay, there it goes. I had them mislabeled. So as you can see, this brings from 0, no shadow, and this is the edge highlight. And since I did it along the light incidence angle, if I move the lights, it also moves the highlight around the model. And the same goes for the rear light. Because it's in a mixer, I can move these independently. And if we go back to the highlighter, if you adjust the pitch, this will affect how sharp it is. Right now there's a gradient on it. And if I put it at, let's say, 125, then you get something sharper. If I put it at 130, it completely flips it around. And so let's put it at 125. So basically, the closer in value that the pitch is to the bank, the harder the edge, and the lower the value is, the softer the edge. And if you want to get rid of it altogether, just make them both 0. And that pretty much is what I've been doing for years in Lightwave when it comes to cell shading as well as having everything on screen. One more thing that I want to point out. Having everything on, it wouldn't do for me to just be able to add this and make it sharper as well as affect the angle by moving the lights. I also wanted to be able to change the light color as well. So basically what I did was I went to, let's go here. There's a null up here. And as you can see, it says shadow light. This is my SC color. And what I did was I used the master channel to use the heading, pitch, and bank channels to control the light color. Because as I said, I really hate having to open panels. I like to keep everything on screen. So if we take a look at SC color, at its heading, pitch, and bank values here, you'll see that changing those values changes the color of the highlight. So if I have an orange explosion, or a red explosion, or a blue explosion, or a blue light, or a blue ray, or even if it's white, I can change it on the fly and still maintain all of the flexibility that I have for moving my lights around and things of that nature. So this concludes my example of surfacing and vectored lighting in Lightwave 3D. So stay cool, folks.